You are now rocking with the 3-yard play.
Right.
We just figured out a 3-yard play, fam. We're gonna win every time.
Yeah.
Hit that link with you. Come on in.
You're tuned into the 3-Yard Play podcast. Well, the only question is, does it work for you?
Trail got wings, bitch.
We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We live in weight just to hold up the trophy. Flag on the plate, cause them haters can't hold me. And 1, 2-a-days and run up the biggest hill just to sharpen up my skills. They hit the scoreboard first, I had to hit them drills. Time I get around the corner, they gon' see my new wheels. After practice, till the lights come on. Till they bust ride out and they gone. That rally had us help, my teammate down the steps. Player, we got plays you ain't even seen yet. I post up and fade away like graffiti. Just don't claim it's love when you see us on TV. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
3-Yard Play podcast.
We been working
brought to you by reality.
all year.
Where it is what it is.
Game time.
You get what you get.
We all here.
So comment and let us know where you
Oh
live.
yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 3-Yard Play podcast. It's your boy Trip. What's going on, fellas? What up, T-Mo? What's up, LJ?
Chilling, bro.
Yeah, this week, man, we got an interesting topic, man. It's not really the most pleasant topic, but it's a reality thing that we need to address. You know, the subject this week is mental health, and we're going to discuss, or I would like for us to discuss, the suicide of DJ Twitch. You know, that's something that's been really discussed a lot over the week and been really heavy on the timeline. So, you know, just the whole concept or the idea of you never really know what someone else is going through.
Right.
And we hear that thrown around a lot. However, you know, most times when we hear it, it's after the fact. And no matter how thoughtful people are when they say it and how sincere, it's still too little too late. And it doesn't change anything. You know, it's almost an antidote that makes us feel better as the survivors or the people still here. But you really get to see in retrospect when someone takes their life or, you know, makes a catastrophic decision that we feel like is detrimental to themselves. Then we often say, oh, you never knew what they were going through. Why, you know, how bad could things have been in their perception or in their mind for them to feel like this was their only resort. Or this was the best option. So would anybody, you know, that being stated, anybody want to really jump out there or kind of what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I've been thinking about it like there's been a few different stories that have come up since Twitch's passing, you know, RIP to him and you know, sending, you know, to his family and all that. But I just think it's amazing that he could be so seems so normal, you know, it seems so well put together, but yet still, you know, possibly battling his own things that no one could see. And as a Black man, I think a lot of times, man, we are taught that mental health is not a thing, like not for us, you know what I'm saying? So I see a lot of different cultures and different groups get to apply that in different circumstances of tragedy. But we don't get that when we hit those tragic moments in our lives. It's just, oh, he knew what he was doing, or that's just what it was, you know what I mean? So I've been in a situation where I try to make sure that even if I'm going through my thing, that the other people don't feel it. and I can only imagine that maybe some of what he was doing so that you couldn't see, you couldn't see him react to whatever inner things that he's got going on. But it's different, man. It's something that, like I say, I wish I understood why we always have that burden on our back. Like we can't really express ourselves when we have our down moments.
Right, man. I feel you on that. Of course, when I first heard the story, bro, it drew a lot of empathy for me because I can kind of relate. You know what I mean? I've always told about, hey man, your smile, this, that, and that. Because I'm always happy, go lucky. At least that's how it appears to others as I'm learning. But man, I've gone through a lot of things. You know what I mean? And I reflect back now on the note that they said they found, but it was very general. They said he was wrestling with some things that he couldn't fix in his past. And then me personally, went to private schools with all those things, went to college but didn't finish on time, and then went out into the world. And then in my mind, because I didn't finish school on that front end, I started developing all these psychological fears and anxiety about how life was going to be if I didn't get a lot of these things taken care of. And I'm associated that to a lot of things that I didn't feel was going right in my life. And so that was eating away at me, but I was still able to move forward. You know what I mean? But
Right.
but subconsciously and just wholly, I wasn't happy. You know what I mean? Because the way to your point, how I was raised is I'm a winner. I'm not supposed to be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Things supposed to always be great. You know what I mean? And so that was a double-edged sword, meaning it was tearing away at my mental health, but it also was pushing me to push past it to accomplish those things so I can no longer say I didn't get it done. You know what I mean? I'm just used to winning. And so when I think about Twitch, man, it's just like, man, some of the things I learned along the way, I wish it could. I learned to say it's okay, that those things didn't happen. Those things can't define me. I had to learn that though. Don't get me wrong. And so I think about, just generally speaking from that note, if he was going through a lot, I just wish it was some way or somehow somebody can kind of reach him and kind of just help him get past that and just find some self-fulfillment in the successes he was able to have outside of those challenges, if you will.
I think kind of listening to what you guys were breaking down, it's almost a twofold, kind of a twofold issue that gets exposed, in that as males, overall just with mental health, mental health is very much swept under the rug in society in general, I think, just across the board. But as males, there's a real big pressure to be okay. As a man, it's combined with the pressure to be okay because you're taught, like you were saying, to be tough and you're a winner and you're not, it's going to always be adversity. You can't let that get you down and all the things that we're taught to push through. But then there's also just the overwhelming disregard and lack of care from society as to how men feel. Often it's often joked around, but like as a man, nobody give a damn. And it's something that's even stronger than racism. Now that's something a lot of times once you get to that point in your spirit or wherever, when you move past, some of the things of just simple division in terms of color, you have situations where you may work a job with somebody of another ethnicity or something like that, but you get in a situation with other males and y'all both had a common ground, like, boy, we're dudes, man. Nobody gives a damn how we feel. We got to get the work done. It's not about our feeling. That's the one thing we know across the board. Right. And that, unfortunately, is probably something else that brother knew. Is like, well, as a man, I don't really have anybody to cry to about it, and it's not really, that much of a forum, or it's not much concern for my emotions. So I can feel, however, but it really doesn't matter. I still got to take care of what I got to take care of for my family and certain responsibilities of that. And then I think further, as a black male, you also again feel like, well, nobody cares because I'm black and X, Y, and Z. But the older I got and I saw, well, it's not even a black thing as much as people don't really care about how dudes feel that much. Right. People want the resources they want. And it's funny because in the same conversation, in the same light, and you'll probably have somebody who watches this one day and they feel offended and say, what? Men have all the power and this is a man's world and the men get to do this and get to do that. that may be, the overall group of men in control that get to make decisions and influence things. But for one man, which is what DJ Twitch was, and a lot of other people who commit suicide or things, things like that, it's just them, and you still feel alone in the world. And you still feel overpowered by a lot of stuff, and you can't get through this and can't get through that. There was actually a gentleman, a shout out to Ab Soul, but his brother's on Kendrick Lamar's label on TDE, and he just put out, I think, second or third album. But during his Breakfast Club interview, he admitted to Charlemagne, whoever he was talking to, that, man, I tried to commit suicide since he's been on, since he's already been famous, and since he dropped his first round of music on TDE, and since he was who he was. He said he tried to jump off a freeway overpass, and it's like, where does someone have to be in their head to attempt something like that? I think often when we're young, we are we falsely believe that the world is happy and that a lot of other people are happier than they are. And it's not really taught to you, man. You're gonna deal with a lot of unhappiness. You might
Right.
even deal with more unhappiness than happiness.
Right.
Happiness is actually fleeting and rare, and that's what makes it so special. Is like these moments you actually feel good, you feel better than you normally do. But with that being the case, then it's all right to have the highs and lows, and it's better to feel things and stay in the race than take yourself out the race overall because you just felt overwhelmed.
Right. Now, I don't know if you all heard just recently, this young brother played for the Orlando Magic, 22 years old. He just retired.
Um,
He was saying how just basketball brought all this extra anxiety and stuff, and it started impacting his mental health. And he just like, man, I gotta get out. And
yeah.
so, I commend that young brother because that money would kind of lure me to kind of tough it out a little bit, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that it's guaranteed, yada yada yada. But he's like, no, man, this environment is too toxic for my well being. And so
Right.
I'm proud of the young man. I'm glad that a lot of these young cats are learning, that they don't have to push through all those things. And as we were talking, I was reflecting on how I grew up, I should say, how just saying to your brother or to another man that you love them or you have some type of positive affection towards them, you be called gay. You know what I mean? And not, and I could distinctly remember kind of like that shit don't make no sense. You know what I mean? And then so I started being more open and vocal about my love for my dad, my uncles. I know it threw them off because that's not how they were raised either. But it was simple for them to be taught that, man, I love you too. You know what I mean? But until I took that leap to just say it, you know what I mean? I started, it was being reciprocated, and it was empowering, it was uplifting, and it changed our relationship and how we move forward day to day because when I lost my dad suddenly, but hey, I don't now. I never have to think about what would I have said because I learned to be
You
open
know how you
and
felt.
be open and vulnerable with him. So that's powering me through to move forward, even in like I said, it's a hole in my heart that I deal with daily. You know what I mean? But I find great satisfaction that we found that space in our lives to kind of communicate what we truly felt about one another.
Mhm. Yeah. I think about even coming from just being an athlete, the pressures of so many people riding on your performance. You know, I when I was younger, and I was doing different things as far as for entertainment or trying to get into the entertainment world of business, I had more energy, I felt, for that. But as I got older, I started to realize, like, man, you never really come off stage. Like
Mm,
Yeah.
every every moment, every hour, every second, you are performing, and that can be a great weight on
Right.
someone like Twitch, where he is just a household name for so many people, and used in a way where his energy was a catalyst to uplift everyone else around him. But when you do it so much, everybody thinks that you don't need that same energy put back into you.
nah.
You're constantly putting it out and being depleted, and I think that eventually has an effect on you. Uh, and that could have been one of his situations because, like I said, I only experienced it from a small level, local level of the pressures of being that top tier athlete. I can't imagine, if you intensify that by 20 times, where you're a worldwide figure.
Social media put everybody pulling on your energy.
Right.
Yeah, right. So it's just, I could see how eventually that could just break you all the way down till you just tired. I
Right.
even see it personally with my own youngest, where the pandemic actually kind of just took the air out of her. She was doing track, like she actually was running track one day, and actually went into hyperventilating because of just the anxiety that came from trying to perform. And
Mm.
so, man, I think that's a catch-22 when we start. And then when you compare that, you go and add social media where everybody's showing you that they live in the greatest.
Right.
It's a constant competition of performing. And so, man, yeah, I can see how that could just be so taxing eventually, man, and it just bring you down. I can see it.
Right.
I heard some talk, and some of it I heard to be dispelled, and I heard some people alluding to it, but they were saying he also might have lost a sizable amount of money in the crypto stuff, and that he'd also taken just some financial, taken some financial hits, and that may have attributed it. I mean, attributed to what happened. However, finance thing, I think that could have something to do with it, but also for him being who he was and his story of how he had grinded himself up and kind of come up and really made a name for himself. I feel like when somebody's been through that, they can also dip back down and be able to stand it, and go back up. I think it's harder if you never were low and you was always up. You have to go down low, then you may not be able to take it. But I think when you're somebody that sacrificed, you had to work hard and grind to come up, then you know what it is to make those decisions to get small so that you can later get big, or do things that you got to do to just sustain and stretch a dollar. So hopefully that wasn't it. Then there's also some talking it may have been foul play or other things, because it just don't all the way. It just don't all the way, really check out. Like brother had children. It's the holiday season. Ideally you think he would want to be there for the holidays. Had a wife, has what appeared to us to be successful career, a lot of reasons to live for. So why would this person just make a decision like that? And so you
Mhm.
do have some people that question that, but then you also have people at that point too. Was holidays, and you get a lot of people that commit suicide during the holidays due
Mhm.
Right.
to increased level of depression and stress and everything between the money you're supposed to spend for the holidays and the holidays just reminding you of your unhappiness. So,
Right.
I say all that stuff to say we'll never, right now, unfortunately, we won't know. We
Right.
won't really know what it was. But condolences, and it's always sad to lose a brother that overall it looked like he was living the dream, or he kind of had it figured out and was really getting into his stride and having his moment. So
Right.
Right.
condolences to his family and his peoples.
Now I
Man.
got to throw the flag on you because we're running out of time. But hey,
Yep.
but
Yep.
but I didn't want to interrupt because what you were saying was spot on. Just because I did interrupt, I just kind of throw my little parting thoughts in real quickly. The whole, I'm a coach, and so I spend a lot of time with kids, and a lot of these things that we talked about with student athlete and just life in general, all the depression, the anxiety, the preparation to perform, and all those things. It's taxing. Those are a lot of the things that people don't see, the injuries and all that stuff, fighting through stuff. So, long story short, man, what you say, we'll never know about how Twitch got to this point, necessarily at this point. But what we do know, thoughts and prayers alone is not enough. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We have to be really intentional about the space that we create for our and humanize others. You know what I mean? And with that just being said, I am being more intentional as a person and as a coach, trying to explore the multiple identities of my student athletes, so I can make sure I meet them where they are and let them define who they are and not just be defined by the label of student or athlete. You know what I mean? Just kind of help meet them where they are and just humanize them and acknowledge their presence.
That's
No,
dope.
that's awesome, man. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say, man, is going forward, man, check on your people. Check on them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I make it a daily habit of. I know they probably get tired of me, but I call my people. You know what I mean? Whoever I consider my people, you'll get a call, you know, and I try to, you know what I'm saying, just to check in to see how they're doing. You know, everybody don't have the greatest day, you know, but if they know that someone cared, you know, someone reached out for them, maybe that'll give them another reason to keep going, or maybe even open up. But yeah, man, I wish Switch's family, you know, just condolences at this time, you know, but you know, man, it's an example, you know, for us all that even when you think you have it, there's still things that we all may have to deal with at some point that we think are unsurmountable, man. So yeah, we pray, we do whatever we have to do as that, but we also need to do the work to make sure that, you know, the people have supporting systems, you know, that they can lean on and know that someone's there for them. Other than that, man, you know, we just got to figure out what works for us.
I can dig it, and hey, that's key right there, man. 3R Play Podcast. Where the only question is, does it work for you? So you all keep that in mind, and you know, much love to everyone. Happy holidays. We around that time, so if you know you celebrating with your family, then enjoy that time and rejuvenate, refresh, and get out and about, man. Take time to treat yourself.
And real quick though, because I can't leave without saying this. Hey, the number is 988. So if any of y'all are having any problems, they have a 24-hour hotline. It's free. Figure it out. Also, for people who, if you notice something in your people, say something to them, talk to them. It's okay to engage and find out. Be very specific. If you feel like somebody's going to harm themselves, ask them that, and then you maybe and just be intentional. Love y'all.
Right. For that 988 number, how you go about putting that in? Is that a pound 988 or star 988 or?
I understand you just dial 988 and it'll take you directly to the hotline.
Okay, just on your cell phone.
Because I don't know anybody to have a landline phone these days, I'm gonna say yes, sir. Not to make light of it, but
we got. I think that's cool to put that out there. You know, so like he said, 988, man. You guys keep that in mind and reach out if you really need help. Please reach out. Don't hurt yourself and others. We love you. 3R Play Podcast.
Peace.
Peace.
You see, the thing that separates us from every other group of slaves is the fact that
thank y'all for tuning in today and every day. And remember to keep running your 3R Play.
Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers, they gon' grow. We gon' water season, watch that harvest flow. I've been crunching numbers.
Cause we know heroes are made in the off season.
There should be no reason
and grind the slow is better than crashing out
we
for
get
dough.
that money bound for we don't run it.
Let's say, young brothers, remember,
fulfill the promise.
I ain't never 3 yards every day. They can never
I can't
stop.
read that narrative, so ain't no need of calling us. You ain't never had to tell your kid being black was a sin, cause his skin was reflected through America. Taking care of us was just a handout, right? But it was fair when free labor was just as nice. I can bet you your life, your kids living alright. Cause me and mine had to do
rocking
it
with
die
the
every
3R
single
Play
night.
Podcast.
I get mine, yeah. You get yours, yeah. But together, nigga, we gon' get some more, yeah. Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers,
So
they
like,
gon' grow.
subscribe, share,
We gon' water
and let's
season, watch that
discuss.
harvest flow. I've been
What's up with
crunching
us?
numbers, winter, fall, spring, or summer. There should be no
Thank
reason
you.
that the baby
Tuning in
never hunger.
to 3R
When we
Play
get that money
Podcast.
bound for, we don't run it. I only
Folks
pledge
on
allegiance
to
to go fulfill the promise. Time and time.